David is asking us, how hard is it to have a kilt hemmed?
Not exceedingly hard. I will preface this answer by saying that we only work on kilts that we have made. So if your kilt was made by another manufacturer, check with them or go to your local tailor or your local dry cleaner with a tailoring service and ask them how much it would cost to be hemmed and how it's hemmed. Hemming a kilt for us, we have a blind stitch machine which will actually sew effectively invisibly. So we would iron up the bottom 1.5 inches, 2 inches of the kilt and then use the blind stitch machine and actually hem the bottom of it. Cost-wise, you're looking at about $30 roughly, $30-$40 somewhere in there for most tailors to be able to do that for you.
Now, that said, there is... Hey, I said that said. That's your line. That said, there is a reason why most better quality kilts are not hemmed. You want to touch on that real quick? Because I'm wondering
sure.
why you need the kilt hemmed or why you want it hemmed.
It may be a hand-me-down.
That's what I'm guessing.
Like
Maybe it's a hand-me-down or it's a band kilt. They tend to get passed around.
Yeah.
But generally...
Generally, it's when you're hemming a kilt, there's kind of a sweet spot. If the kilt is 1/2 inch or 1 inch too long or less, then you do not generally want to hem it. Just pull it up a little bit. If the kilt needs to be hemmed 2.5, 3, 4 inches, then it's not really good to hem that. Here's why. It's if you only hem a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or 1 inch, the bottom of the pleats, you're actually doubling the thickness on the very, very bottom of the pleats. And they tend to want to kick out when you're walking around. And even if you try to iron them flat, if there's only a little bit hemmed at the bottom, they tend to be stiffer and want to kick out. If you're hemming up 3-4 inches, you're shortening a good bit of the kilt, which means it's probably was made for somebody either much taller or much taller than you. That being said, the fill, the distance from the top of the kilt to the widest part of the rear end, you can't really shorten that because it's actually sewn in. So if you have let's use this as an example, a 24-inch kilt, which is made for somebody 6 foot tall, and you want it hemmed to 21 inches or 20 inches, the fill, the sewn down portion, is going to go past the widest part of your rear end and just kind of hug your rear end differently, and it's gonna, when you sit down, the kilt's gonna want to ride up, or you're gonna split the seams at the bottom of the fill. So that's something you don't generally want to do. That being said, if you need to hem the kilt 1.5 inches or 2 inches, it's kind of the sweet spot where it's enough is tucked up underneath that you can iron it firmly and it will sit properly at the bottom of the fill, or excuse me, the bottom of the selvage in the back. But it's still the fill of the kilt is still long enough. It's not too long for somebody with that. Maybe a 1/2 inch long, but that doesn't really matter too much. A full inch longer, it's starting to get a little bit too long.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up that proportion, that key proportion basically between those two sections.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
That's